So in today's video, we're going to be creating an Android application, a very first beginner-friendly Android application in Android Studio using Kotlin. So without wasting time, let's open Android Studio and start developing our application. So I'm going to name this project Dice Row. It's simply an application where we can roll dice and it gives us a certain number from 1 to 6. So we're going to select an empty activity. It's already selected by default. Next, we put the name of our application. So we're going to say Dice Row. Then I'll leave everything as they are, but I'll only change the minimum SDK to 4.4 KitKat because my emulator right now is running on 4.4. So if I leave it at default, it won't be running in the emulator. So I'm going to change that to that. Then let's click on finish. Then from here, Gradle build will start. It will take a couple of minutes depending on the internet speed. So our build is now successful and we can start in development. So as a beginner, you're going to see Android Studio a little bit complex at first, but as we go on with these tutorials, you're going to get used and be more familiar with it. So this tutorial is user beginner friendly, so don't worry if you don't know anything about Kotlin, but you should have at least minimum knowledge about programming. Then you'll be set to go. So after our Gradle build is finished, we first start by working on our layout, and we work on our layout in the activity main.xml. It's also found in the resources folder. Then the layouts, this is the layout that we're working on. So at default, we're going to have this hello world printing, and this should show in your application. Let me just run my emulator real quick. So for my emulator, I'm not really using the emulator built in with Android Studio, but I'm using an emulator that I downloaded, libdroid. It's very good for testing my applications, but there are more emulators you can download. I just love the way it works. It's very fast and all that, and it's very stable. Okay, our emulator is launched and Android Studio should now detect our emulator there. So let me just run this project and see what it brings. Okay, so it runs. It brings hello world with this dice row in the upper. I'll show you how to remove this dice row on top there in a couple of minutes. So let's get into Android Studio and develop our Dice Row application. So what our Dice Row application will be doing is basically more like visualizing the way a dice is tossed and the number is given. Yeah, a result number is given, but that will be on the phone. So we're going to be creating this text, will be showing the number, and I'm going to put the button there where it will say roll or roll the dice or something. Then it should give us a random number in the range 1 to 6. So without wasting time, let's get into Kotlin. So for developing, okay, just a minute. Let us first work out the layout there, then we can go and write the code for application. So we can visually build the layout, but I prefer using XML and this. So we're going to say the text should be blank, or we can just put a 0 there. Then I'm going to change this to a relative layout. We'll learn more about layouts in the coming tutorials, so make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button so that you're notified every time I release a new video. So we're going to say relative layout. Then we're going to center we're going to remove all these constraints. I ignored in relative layouts. Then what we want is simply center the text. So we're going to say horizontal center, set it to true. Then the vertical center as well, layout vertical, then true as well. So we have our text in the middle now, but I want to increase the text size. I'm going to say text size. I'm going to set that to 24. And always remember, for the text size we use SP and not DP. So we've got our text in the middle there. Then we want a button below it which says Rodice. So I'm going to say a button, declare a button. The width, wrap content, also the height, wrap content. Let me just go back to the text view and add an ID. So I'm going to set an ID and make sure you take note of the ID. So this is going to be ID text view. I'll just leave it. Okay, I'll just put the ID text view. Then also for the button you need the ID. Since we only have two components in the layout, there isn't any need of specifying the IDs to be very specific. I'll just put them as they are. So I'll put ID, then button. So I'll say button row. Then we want the button below our text here. So we're going to say layout below. So layout below, then we put the ID of the text view, and the button should come below text view like that. Then we want to center it in the horizontal. So we're going to say horizontal center, set it to true. And now our button is below. Then we're going to give this button some text. The text will just be Rodice. And this is all for the layout, visual layout. So from here we'll have a working visual layout, not very nice looking, but it will do for this application. Let's go back to the Kotlin, main Kotlin activity. Then there is not one thing that we need to do. We need to remove this up bar, the one which says Rodice. Nice row. If you want, you can remove it. If you don't want, you can't remove it. But if you want to remove it, you need to go into the values, then themes, then themes.xml. Then here where it says day night action bar, dark action bar, we're going to say no action bar, like that. After declaring this, the action bar disappears and it's no longer visible in the app. So we're going to go to our Kotlin function, Kotlin file here, and we're going to write our code for the application. So in here, when you see this is a package, the application package name. Then these are the libraries which are being imported. Then this is the main class. So if you are very good in Java, you're going to be very familiar in Kotlin because there isn't any much difference. Then from there we've got an override function on create. So this on create function is called every time the app runs. So in this on create function we have a super create instance, then it's setting a content view to the layout, this layout activity main. So from there, let's just declare our two variables, and our two variables are actually the text view and the button. So we're going to say var, then our text view, So just put it like this, text view, then text view. Like that, equal to find element by ID. So find view by ID. Then this is going to be the ID that we give our application. So r.id.textView. Then we're going to do the same for the button. So we're going to say button is equal to find element by ID r.id.btn row, like that. Then from there, what we want to happen is that we have to get the function on click function for the button. So we're going to say button dot set on click listener. Then in between these brackets, this is where we're going to write what happens when the button is clicked. So I just forgot, I need another variable. That variable is actually, it's going to store a random number. So we're going to say var, then random int, okay, then is equal to, we set the range 1 to 6 dot random, yeah, the random. Okay, I think that should work. Then we're going to say every time the button is clicked, we're going to set a random number to the text view. So we're going to say text view. Wait, our variable is in lowercase, so we set text view dot set text. Then our text is going to be coming from the random int. Then we pass this to string so that we convert our int to string. I think our application is done. Let's run this and see how it does. So we're going to click there and our application should start building. Okay, so our Gradle build is finished and brings us C-stack theme and the button says roll dice. So let's try this. And it rolls. It actually works. I'm surprised. Okay. So we've been rolling this for some time now. Okay, so I just wanted to fix a small bug here. Once we open our app, then we click on the roll dice, it's only bringing 2. When we click on the roll dice, the number which comes is not reset afterwards, even after clicking it many times. And this is because where we place the variable here is on the create function. So this variable random int is created on the onCreate, but we want this to be created once we press the button. So just going to cut that out there and paste it inside the set on click listener, the button. Then after running this, we should get what we actually need. That's the rolling dice every time we press the roll dice button. Okay, so our build is finished and hopefully we should get our application working right this time. Yeah, it's installed. So we roll dice 3, again 1, So those are random numbers. As you can see, they're all random. I'm not in control. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share this video to others.